It is day 2 of our health series, Talk to Doc, what to ask your doctor at each stage of life. We covered teens yesterday, and today our health specialist Leah Sarich finds out what to ask in your 20s and 30s.
Right, so let's think about 20s and 30s. So this is the series we're doing with Dr. Raj Bhardwaj. He's been so great with all of this. So we're focusing on the 20s and 30s. So now it's about taking that relationship that you just started as a teenager and really solidifying it and establishing it. So now you're not going to see your doctor just for a broken knee or a broken wrist or a little infection. So now this is when standard testing starts, okay? So for women, we're talking about things like the Pap test, which screens for cervical cancer. And wouldn't it be nice to know your doctor before you have a Pap test done?
Absolutely.
Or a pelvic exam done, right? It's also time to start thinking about things like sexually transmitted diseases and getting those tests done and knowing what those look like with your family doctor. In your 20s and 30s too, the work-life balance can be a real challenge, because this is for a lot of us when you're really working really hard in your career, trying to establish that can mean a lot of long hours, and it's really about learning to manage stress at this time.
So much to do at work that they end up staying late at work and, working 12 or 14 or 16-hour days. And then the other thing is that they say, I have to blow off some steam on the weekend, and they go out and they binge drink. Right? They'll have 5 or 6 drinks in a sitting, which is the definition of binge drinking. And they say, oh, it's not that bad, I only do it once or twice a month, or maybe once every 6 weeks. But they're doing it for sort of the wrong reasons. They're not doing it to just go out and have fun. They're doing it because they need to get rid of all this stress.
So it's about trying to figure out more healthy ways, really, to manage that stress. And of course, it's easier to make some good habits now than it is to break them a few years later down the road, right? So that's worth thinking about. Dr. Raj also says it's a good time to start thinking about preconception. So are we going to start a family right now? Are we not? So if we are, what is that going to look like? When is this going to happen? And if you don't really care when it happens, like if you're sort of open to whatever happens, then it's really time to be on those prenatal vitamins, specifically folic acid, because folic acid is something that you need even usually before you even know you're pregnant, right? In that first 6 weeks, before you even missed a period. And conversely, if you do not want to be pregnant at this time, what are we doing in terms of birth control? Is that working for you? What are my options? So these are the things to be talking to your family doctor about. This is also a really good time to think about your family history. So what's happening with mom and dad? Because this will affect you.
Into your 20s and 30s, maybe your folks are getting a little bit older, maybe they're running into their own health problems, and as they do, sometimes that will change your risks for different things. So if your dad develops diabetes when he's 50, that might change your risk for developing diabetes, right? So we want to know that sort of stuff so that we can start planning ahead for your future decades so that you don't turn into another version of your dad or your mom.
So it's about planning for the future. What does mom have? What does dad have? That kind of thing.
Okay, so we're addressing stress, sexual health, family history. What else should we be considering in 20s and 30s?
This is also a really good time to think about those other medical professionals in your life. You can talk to your family doctor about, when do I need to get my eyes checked, right? Because when you're living at home, your mom or dad probably took you to get your eyes checked. Or they got you in the routine of going to the dentist every 6 months, every year. You can talk to your doctor about, when should I be doing these things? How often should I be doing them? Because, for example, Dr. Bhardwaj says things like eyes and teeth, those have an overall impact on your health. So you want to make sure those things are well looked after. The other thing is vaccinations. So when you're in school, you had some vaccinations done. Let's take tetanus, for example. That happens in grade 8. That needs a booster shot in 10 years. So that falls into this age group. So you're going to have to talk about vaccinations with your doctor. Get your records for yourself.
Okay, great information.
Yeah.
We've gone through teens, 20s, and 30s. What's on deck for tomorrow?
Well, obviously it would be 40s and 50s. So this is things like more kinds of cancer screenings to think about. For women, things like menopause. For men, things like erectile dysfunction. That's what we'll be looking at tomorrow.
Okay, fantastic. Our Talk to Doc series continues tomorrow with Leah Sarich. Thank you very much,
You're very
Leah.
welcome.
And time to head on over to